Sometimes you feel like a fancy and even a stranger tell you, wow, very good idea, very good, very useful. When it comes to price, it's another thing.
Alright, hi everyone. I'm Dennis from Mamak Mentor, and today we're going to talk about A1's EdTech journey for the crowdfunding. And here today with us is Dr. Darren, founders of A1. Hi, Dr. Darren. Maybe you can just briefly introduce yourself to our audience.
Thank you, Dennis, for having us today. So I'm Darren. I'm the founder of A1. So we actually is an education technology. It's a software and service to serve education business on how they actually operate in the digital way. So take an example, right now we actually have been helping about 2,700 learning centers to help them to automate their fee payment, to help them to manage their attendance, class schedule on everyday, day-on-day basis operation using our system.
Okay, as far as I know, A1 actually started from just like a simple tutor finding platform. What makes you want to start this business, like the platform?
Okay, that was like many years ago when we first started in I think at least about 10 years. When I was still a student, I actually taught part-time tuition. I teach chemistry on a part-time basis and very hard to find students. So we need to go to a traditional agent and pay expensive agent fee to look for student. So at that time, that's what the pain point as a tutor. So that's the first starting of that idea of A1 is A1 tutor. We want to create a platform without the agent to match the student and the teacher. At the same time, there are also inquiries coming from like swimming class, someone looking for a freelance swimming instructor or freelance teacher in piano lessons. They go to the class to teach. So we create a multiple version on that. After that, it's like more than tutor finder, we also like swimming instructor finder, freelance instructor finder. So that's how we first started of the brand A1. It's just like a marketplace who want to match anyone want to learn and teach. That was launched in 2015-16, the time when the marketplace is very famous. You can see a lot of marketplace for different kind of services everywhere. Even like Acorn, you want to repair Acorn, you go for marketplace, you look for someone. A lot of marketplace are booming that time. That was actually start A1 brand as a marketplace to link whoever want to learn and teach. But marketplace is very hard to run at a bootstrap basis because you need to take care of two sides, which is supply and demand. So balance of two sides also. Is I have enough English tutor in PJ, but the demand is actually English tutor in the Puchong. It's unable to match because people looking for the local classes to teach and to learn. After we know a lot of the educators, we actually discover a very real problems that they face. Some of them, they don't really need an online presence, but they can grow their students about 100, 200, 300 students. Tuition class or daycare centers, they are near to the school and parents just come in, don't need to go to online to search also. But in terms of management, they do very much on manual. So that's how we pivoted from marketplace, like a platform or tutor finder direction, directly to the B2B SaaS direction to serve them as kind of like a painkiller for our user to solve the problems. While the marketplace is a vitamin. Without vitamin, they still can go on because good to have more students, but their core student recruitment activity is very much on offline or parent referral. But after the student grow in certain size, the pain coming in when actually in the management, that's how we change direction and as a painkiller for them to solve the problem. Since 2018-19, the time we launched our first version of system.
I see. So basically, you all start up as a platform, like a marketplace platform. So during that time, you all were a bootstrap. How many of you all when you just started it?
5. I'm a single founder, so I will first start as one person. Then after that, get the initial team members. Quite a small size, about 5 to less than 10 when actually running a marketplace. Yeah.
So you mentioned that now it evolved from a marketplace platform to a B2B SaaS. So do you mind to like elaborate a little bit more on what are the differences between now and during when you first started? I mean, on your software itself.
What we actually started is quite new in the market that time. Of course, when they first started, you need to educate market. What is this about also? Like people accounting system, people know what is a feature, Like right now, POS system is very popular, but maybe 10 years ago, people are not really familiar. What is QR scan on menu? They don't really know the kind of thing also. But now it's like everywhere. So you don't need to educate the market, but a lot of competition happening at the same time because the market is more mature. When they first started, what we are doing in 2018, 19 is quite new. So we need to do a lot of education. And we also just started as more the focusing on the fee payment tracking system, means more to like the kind of single features to help them to keep track any student or any parent have not made payment because there is a high frequency of payment every month. So that's the direction, but it's a single features that we add more features based on the feedback for our users. Until today, we are able to serve kind of like when the student registered everything, they can use the system to serve on the operation needs. It's very well rounded mini ERP system. I would say like also right now it's more to like they need the progress, attendance. They can actually use as class scheduling, makeup class, those things. Yeah, and it serves a bit more industry compared to the earlier days when we actually kind of like single features and only maybe focus tuition industry.
Yeah. Can I say like, so A1 is actually like the one-stop solution for all these tuition centers or maybe swimming instructor centers?
Yep, it's more to like one stop, more to like operation system lah. And apart from what we have in the beginning, right now we also have a lot of user in regional country like in Thailand, in Indonesia. So we need to support in terms of local languages as well. So you can switch the languages to in the Thai, the whole system become Thai languages, Indonesian as well, and also some of the payment gateway in different countries. That's how we evolve as a very single features system, very simplified system until today is more to like mini ERP and is scalable in a regional space as well.
So I believe that this is not a simple things to do, and of course it's gonna involve a lot of funding. Since when that you started to think about, okay, I need more funding, and where do you go to get this funding?
I would say as earlier days we have thought about that because our vision is quite big because it's still scalable, can scale to the regional basis. But in order to scale, there is initial cost, of course, the R&D product development is actually a cost. Hire the engineering team, set up and product market fit and go to market strategy. You also need to spend certain resources. When you enter the new market as well, you need to spend certain resources to understand the market and to hit the product market fit as well. So from day one, we actually think that we need to raise fund in order to achieve the goal faster. Of course, you can achieve the goal maybe 50 years, even longer, but you want to achieve faster, right? So from day one, we have actually thought that. But on execution side, because there's sometimes it's a chicken and egg. You need fund, but potential investor may need to see the traction and you have a high growth. But sometimes you need fund to pump the high growth, to support the high growth. So that's the things we need to balance when we actually raise, especially the first round of funding. Because basically you don't really have like a historical performance to show the investor, that's what I have done before. And I'm also the first time founder. So that's the thing that actually, what is the strategy which we use to raise our first fund?
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, because a lot of people when they thought of like raising fund, they have really no idea of first, they don't know where to get. And the first thing is like families and friends. So that's the immediate way of I would say the fastest way to get a funding. So in order to get investors to come in, I believe that it is not that easy, right? So let's say, what are the toughest questions that you have ever encountered from an investor that they ever ask you when you are asking for funding?
So many, so many tough questions. I can't define on which the toughest because it really depends on the stages that there are actually different questions. But the back to what I have shared earlier just now is more to like when you first raise, the toughest part that sometimes you need to balance, you need to show the growth despite you have a very minimal resources because you have nothing to show to them. In terms of your historical, where you actually exited how many startup before, you don't have that. to show to them, but you still need to show a good performance, promising startup for them to invest. But you have very minimal resources. You need to balance out of this. So when they actually ask about the traction on month-to-month growth, year-on-year growth, this could be one of the, not to say challenging, but one of the maybe tough questions. Like Southeast Asia, like they will not decide on the first meeting. It's like a dating, right? You need to keep the momentum for at least a few weeks or few months. Then that's how you need to keep the momentum and show the traction, and they are able to come in or maybe do further due diligence before they come in, the kind of thing. Yeah.
I see. I believe a lot out there, a lot of people also would like to know, usually what are the duration, like how long does this process takes from the first day you go to an investor, you pitch them until you get the investor to say yes and they give you the fund?
Depends on what the investor you have been speaking with. Example, if you are talking to the angel investor, which maybe your family and friends, the time will be shorter in terms of they are not so much of hierarchy. They need to discuss in the meeting, because if you go to the institution, investor, example VC, venture capital, they do have certain structure for them to come to the decision making, and sometimes they only meet like once a month to talk about deals and stuff also. So they have an analyst, associate, then go to the partner IC meeting. So typically, if you are the VC or institutional investor, 3 months up to 6 months, could be even longer, and really depending on who is the one actually you've have been speaking with. So sometimes if you want as a startup, right? I mean, sometimes the environment is also startup ecosystem is not to say big and quite small as well. So if you are actually kind of like wish to reach out to certain VC, you can actually check out the ecosystem, or maybe it's a portfolio company, to understand also the standard process of that particular VC. Yeah, some of them is very fast. I've actually seen is fastest a month from the first call until the money bank into the bank account, just a month. That's the fastest we have seen. And the pace in Southeast Asia, like we don't talk about the US. So it really depends. 6 months is quite long, but it's actually a lot of the institutional investors within that range.
I'm going to backtrack a little bit on your business itself. Like, okay, at one point that A1 is just a marketplace platform, and then now it turns into a B2B SaaS. So along that journey, from your feedback of your users, like what are the things that they really want? Because a lot of time that someone or a new business founder, they have this very great idea, you see, they're very fancy thing. they want to do a lot of things, but that may not be the actual things that your user want. Am I right? So can you tell us like how the process that you identify, how you identify the pain point of your users that makes them, oh, I really want to use A1?
I think talking to the user is very important, and also I actually have I was actually running enrichment centers before. I also experienced the problems myself. We have about 300 students, so we know, and we also know a lot more people in my network. So talking to the user, of course, is very useful. But I would say if someone actually have an idea, don't talk to someone that actually close to you. For example, your good friend, your friends and family, they are very always supportive, but give you the wrong idea of what the market wants. They always say, I want, I will pay. And which is good, very good idea. This is actually not really they cannot represent what the market thinks, because they are just supportive because they are close to you. Or you can talk to someone you never know before and stuff, give the honest review. That's the best review. And don't talk to those your closest network, because you wouldn't get what you want lah, because you will give that wrong impression. Everyone love it. After you launch it, no one, example.
Correct.
And sometimes even they say this is my pain point, the willingness to pay is another thing. Sometimes you feel like a fancy, and even a stranger tell you, "Wow, very good idea, very good, very useful." When it comes to price, it's another thing. So it's like it's also two layer. Even you build something that people want, but whether people willing to pay, and how much they pay, what is the things you need to optimize as well. And this is also one of the product market fit journey that you have to optimize throughout the journey. So we have done a lot of testing, of course, in terms of pricing. Of course, if you are doing something people already done in the market, you have a reference also, the price, how they build those things. But if you are the first mover on something that you just very new in the market, yeah, you need to optimize, do a bit of product market fit on analysis on the pricing direction as well.
How many centers are they in, like in the Malaysia region, and how which other parts in Asia markets are you in now?
We have about 2007 in total, roughly. So about 2000 in Malaysia. Since our core market, where Malaysia, because we are the home country, so that's how we focus a bit more. And also there's a push from the government, go for digitalization of SME. So a lot of the push from the government agency as well. Even there's a grant subsidy available for SME to adopt digital solution. That's why it's actually one of the best markets still until today, compared to the regional country like Indonesia, Philippines, and Thailand. We do have user, but they are not so much like a push government to use system for the SME space. So it's something that we need to educate the market why they need to use the system. So like the rest of 700 is distributed among quite equally, slightly more in Indonesia, but quite equally between like Thailand, Philippines, Indonesia, and also Singapore. Singapore is very matured country. Just some of them that have not used system, they try our system. So a lot of them they already use the system. So their mindset is a bit different because very matured. Before they start business, they look for system already. That's the direction. Yeah. So Malaysia is kind of like I cannot tahan already. So many work to do. Then they only look for system. Then the rest of emerging country, they are still understanding what is this system about? What is this system for? What is the features and stuff? Yeah. So it's a bit different stages on different strategy for among all different regional country in Southeast Asia. It's very fragmented.
I see. So when you first expanding to other country out of Malaysia, what are the most interesting or the biggest shock that you ever received? Like which country is the hardest for you to penetrate, or is there any cultural differences between how you started up in KL compared to there? Like let's say Indonesia or Thailand.
Yeah, very much different. Even we want to classify Indonesia as one Indonesia is also not correct, because that's what we actually usually see Indonesia as a very homogeneous, but actually it's very much different. When you talk to someone in Jakarta and Bali, example, it's very extreme. It's totally different in terms of the culture, everything, how you close it, their communication, everything is very much different. So day one, the country we have penetrate. I will not say Singapore, because Singapore is kind of similar in Malaysia. So the culture is very much different. It's the first country we entered is Indonesia, because people are saying Indonesia is big. Okay, that's how we actually the first country where actually venture is with the very much different culture is Indonesia. And of course, we can speak BM, and my team can speak BM. We first go ourselves on the Zoom first lah. But of course, the language, even we can speak Bahasa, but it's very much different in Indonesia and
yes.
So, but still, we still understand each other. But the purpose that course is also to see whether our system is relevant for them. Then, like 1 or 2 months later, we only hire our first team members, which stay until today. Is our head of sales as well. First team member locally to close local sales. For some countries that are very strong in culture and languages, Indonesia, Thailand, we need local team members to close and support, to give training locally as well. So that's the direction. So they understand a bit more on the culture locally. A bit different in terms of that when we do the same Zoom, Our Zoom with Indonesia prospect is slightly longer. Malaysia is more to like very strict to point. Pop, 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 pop. 1 hour. Okay. That's what the system for. The way of communication in Indonesia take a bit longer. They are more to like relationship building direction. Yeah. For us, very much a bit different in terms of the way of communication. And yeah, that's something that we learn through the way lah.
So you mentioned that you're now in Indonesia, Singapore, Thailand, and Philippines. Am I right?
Yeah.
Is there any? Yeah. So for all those other countries, is it you only have your system like in English, or do you like cater to their own translation? And like for example Thailand, because I don't know, maybe not all of the center they use English. Some they prefer to their own languages. Do you like have a translation app for them, or is it a universal app for everyone?
Is features wise is the same, but just we need to localize the languages. So we have a Thai version, so they can switch the languages into Thai, in Bahasa Indonesia. So these two countries, even in Malaysia, we do have Bahasa Malaysia. We have Chinese.
Oh, okay.
And even English. So they can switch the languages based on their preferred languages as well. In order for the because we serve the stakeholder, the software is serve the user such as the teacher, admin, and also parent. Sometimes parent is not so good in English, especially in the countries like Indonesia and Thailand. So they can change the languages as well in their preferred languages.
Okay, that's good. That's good because a lot of time, many users, I mean, like other software, they only like they have it in English only. They don't have a localized feature for individual region. You see, okay, that's nice. That's nice. Okay, and yeah, talk back a little bit on the funding part. So when you trying to get funding, what is the most major sum that you put it in? Is it your R&D or your marketing?
Yeah. I would say it's very important for the if let's say you talk about the investment, is in the direction that if you want to scale, is want to grow the business. So in terms of the business expansion or sales and marketing resources, sometimes it's usually the core direction, the allocation that to put on the funding direction. Of course, we also need to allocate the allocation into the product enhancement. And because the day one you build the product, it may not last until today. Well, in the scalability and also so you need to revamp several versions, and there are a lot of the costs involved in the revamping and also the optimization or enhancement as well. So R&D is core allocation you need to put in terms of to make, because product is actually they can speak on their own if they're actually good.
Yep.
Because it's very much on the community base, the network effect. People talk about that. So that's something that is very important to allocate the allocation, basically in business expansion and the R&D side.
Do you intend to continue building this forever by yourself, or do you have the intention or how to exit it? Like you're gonna sell it, M&A, IPO? What's your plan in it?
Currently, like for our personal direction and also the plan, actually is quite in line to what we have on board on the investor, our current investor as well. While we actually have an exit point for the company, but exit point in terms of we want to see the company even grow faster when it comes to the exit point. Can be an M&A, can be even eventually an IPO. It's a channel for us to see the company or the brand to serve more people in a even shorter time. Like example, M&A is like potentially there are some of the EdTech group from the West. They are looking in the venture in the Southeast Asia space, and we actually kind of regional already. So that's the point that we actually see is a good partner to be acquired, and also on the financial side, we actually have a good return for our current investor as well. So that's a pathway we are quite aligned with internally on the exit point on the future of the company. Yes.
Let's talk about what are your difficulties, the toughest time that you when you started this journey from start until now?
In terms of software side, right? I think the toughest,
Mhm.
maybe, I think a lot of people
Yeah.
actually have the same answer is MCO time, is when the lockdown happens or COVID. Actually, we have been through that period. Of course, that period is actually helping a lot of awareness, why they should use a system on the operation side. We don't need to educate so much after that because, example, lockdown. The simple tasks like issuing receipt, if they do on papers, they cannot do it because the receipt book in the center, right? So they need to use the
Yes.
digital way to do that. So they know A1 is good, it's the future. But it's the future at that time. That time no money,
Mhm,
no
mhm.
people able to pay subscription fee because the sector of education is actually one of the most impacted because like people can dine in the restaurant, but all the tuition centers still cannot operate. That's why of course there are people doing online class as well. But I would say it's more challenging that time because you need to actually pivot very fast on kind of like
Mhm.
daily or weekly basis. Unlike
Mm.
other period, you are not need to really change so fast. So far, like online class, actually, no one actually know what is online class, how to conduct, which tool to use. So that is the things I would say. Like in our industry, the time is we need to change pivot very fast, like adapt very fast, and that's one of the quite a lot of things to learn as well that time. But also it's good journey lah. But in terms of the revenue, I think the time is a bit tough because they are not operate their business, so it's not able to pay the subscription fee as well. Yeah.
Yeah. It is quite tough during that time. Yeah. So okay, one last one. As I know that you are actually currently in pitching a campaign for crowdfunding, right? Do you mind to tell us a little bit more about your current campaign?
Yeah, sure. So I think over the years we have been actually quite a lot of people using our app. In Malaysia, especially we build that network effect. People know a bit more about us, whether they are as a role as a parents or teacher or mix of both. There are also some of them that use
Mhm,
one app for multiple location because we allow parents to use one app to like if they send their children in everywhere, they can use one app for all provided also using A1 system. So we actually build the network effect that we actually see this platform apart from actually allowing everyone to actually believe our vision to be part of our journey, to be like kind of like the investor for A1, but also we kind of want to maximize the network even further to even the stakeholder, a parent, or even a client like centers, or even a student or teachers that are able part of our A1 journey. So we can actually maximize the network effect more widely on what we are doing to maximize our reach out in Malaysia. So in our stage right now, that's something that we see this is the core direction why we actually choose crowdfunding. Apart from raising funds, we also something we actually can build like the network effect engine for us to have
mhm,
a
mhm.
greater reach and stuff.
Yeah. So by crowdfunding means anyone that are interested, they can join into this campaign and invest in A1. Am I right?
Yeah, so it's like 5,000 ringgit. You can actually be a shareholder of A1. We actually have the campaign page in our crowd
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
pitching as well. To know more about us,
Ah,
you also can chat with us.
I see, I see. So as long as I have like a 5,000, then I can like invest in A1. Ah, that's good, that's good. So is that a maximum or no maximum? I can just like as long as I have a minimum 5,000 and above, then I can join
Yeah,
this campaign.
the each block is
Ah,
5,000. So it's actually by
each point
block.
is 5,000. Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
So yeah, so there's
All
no
right, all right.
upper limit. Yeah.
Okay, let's do this. If now I give you 60 seconds to pitch to our audience on why should they join this campaign and invest in A1. So how will you do it?
Hi everyone, I'm Darren, founder of A1. So education centers across Southeast Asia and most of them still running on Excel, WhatsApp and manual processes. A1 is changing that. We are building an AI powered SaaS and payment infrastructure for education SME helping centers to manage the student billing, operation, payment, everything in one system. Today, we actually powered more than 2,700 education businesses across 5 countries, processing more than 400 million ringgit Malaysia annually, and continue to scale regionally on what we are doing. Our goal is simple: to become the operation system for education business across Southeast Asia, to change how the classes being operate, being scaled, and monetized. And join us, become our part of our journey. Thank you.
All right, that's very good. Okay, so guys, if for those who are interested, later I'll just put a pitching campaign link down in our video, so you all can just click it and have a look on it. So, all right, guys, that's a wrap. So big thank you to Dr. Darren and for sharing his very interesting experience with us. So if you got value from this, so please follow Mamak Mentor and share this with one person that who is trying to build something today. So I'm Dennis and this is Dr. Darren. See you in the next episode. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you, Dennis and everyone.